Hi guys, this is going to be my wrap-up and TBR video for the month where I go through the books that I read in December and tell you really briefly what I thought about them, and then go through the books that I plan to read in January. I read 5 books in December, which is pretty average for me. The first book that I read in December was In Wartime Stories from Ukraine by Tim Judah, which was on my Kindle. I received this book for review from Blogging for Books. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It explores the current conflict between the Ukraine and Russia, and it also does a really good job of explaining kind of the historical context and what has happened that has led to this point. And he talks to a lot of people who are both like pro-Ukraine and pro-Russia, and so you get like both sides from like what both sides are thinking in Ukraine. Like the people he talks to all live in Ukraine, but they have like opposing sides, and so you get to hear both of those sides. And as someone who knew about the conflict but knew very little about like the historical context, I knew Ukraine was part of the USSR obviously, but I didn't know much about the dynamics and like previous relations between Ukraine and Russia, so getting to learn all of that really helped me understand the conflict more. I read Atmosphere of Hope, Searching for Solutions to the Climate Crisis by Tim Flannery. I didn't realize until like right now that I read 2 books in a row by Tim's. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. It is about climate change. More specifically, it is about ways that we can combat climate change. The book makes it very clear that we're past the point of being able to completely reverse climate change. There are going to be certain consequences no matter what we do now, which only makes it more important to do what we can to like slow it down and stop it at whatever point we can stop it at. And this book is great if you want to learn about what we can do to combat climate change. It goes through a lot of different options, the probability of all of them working and everything like that. It's a really great book. I really recommend it. The next book that I read in December was The Hound of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle, which is the 5th Sherlock Holmes book, I believe, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy it, but I'm not sure I'll be reading any Sherlock Holmes in the future, at least not anytime soon. I enjoyed it, but it's not like something I necessarily want to read frequently. And then I reread City of Blaze by H.O. Charles, which is the first book in the Fireblade Array series, and I read the book for the first time in 2013. Decided to reread it. I haven't actually read past this book in the series, but I actually ended up lowering the stars that I had given it after rereading it, because there are some things that after reading it, I don't know if I'd like just forgotten them over time or if I didn't pay attention to them when I was reading the book the first time, but there were more things that bothered me reading it the second time around than the first time, and which was kind of disappointing. But I don't really want to go into details about it because I already like edited my review to like talk about it, and it's kind of disappointing because I really liked the book the first time around, and this time around I still liked certain aspects of it, but I was more frustrated with that at the same time. So last book that I read in December was Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, which wasn't surprising. I attended a reading that Roxane Gay did at Butler about a year ago, I think. She read some of this book then, and I loved it, and I had been hearing so much about the book before then even. I did end up really loving it. I love the fact that this book manages to be both really funny and talk about really important things at the same time. It's a really great book. I highly recommend it. Now on to the books that I plan to read in January. Of course, the Norton Theory and Criticism anthology is still in my TBR, as it has been for like more than a year now. I think I am this far in it, so it will probably continue to be on my TBR for a long time. I'm also currently reading The Wind and the Willows by Kenneth Grahame, which is a book that I had heard about before but actually didn't know what it was about. I just knew that it was like a classic and a lot of people had read it and loved it, so it was free and I decided to download it. I'm partway through chapter 2 right now, so I don't have that formed of an opinion, but I can say that it's making me very nostalgic for Franklin and Little Bear. I don't know how many people know what those are, but they're 2 cartoons that aired when I was a kid, and I think they're both Canadian cartoons, but in America they aired on Nickelodeon, like Nick Jr., and I watched them as a kid, and they're about anthropomorphic animals. And it's not just that they're about anthropomorphic animals, because there are lots of other things with anthropomorphic animals. Something about the tones of those cartoons that I feel like is very similar to Wind in the Willows so far. And it's making me nostalgic and making me really want to rewatch those cartoons. And so I looked to see if they were on Netflix, and they're not, which is sad because neither of them air anymore. There's like a new Franklin cartoon, which is I saw part of the other day on accident and think is weird, to be honest, but that might just be me being too caught up on the old Franklin. But I'm sad because now I really want to watch both of those. Last book I'm currently reading is City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, which I've taken the dust jacket off of. This is the third Mortal Instruments book, and no, I did not reread 1 and 2 before reading this one. For whatever reason, I just felt like reading the third book again instead of the first two. I've read the first 2 chapters again, and already I'm remembering details that I had forgotten, so that should be interesting for the rest of this reread. I don't really plan to reread the rest of the series after this or anything. I just wanted to reread this one because, I don't know, it's not even my favorite of the series, but I felt like it was the one that I should reread the most for some reason. And then once I finished those, well, not finished the Norton anthology, but finished the other 2 books, I plan to read The Souls of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois, which is on my Kindle. It's the most popular book that W.E.B. Du Bois ever wrote, I think, and I have read some of his writing in various literature classes over the years. I do not know if I've read anything from this particular book or not. If I have, it's only been like snippets of it. So I'm looking forward to reading the whole thing. The last book that I plan to read in January is Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Art of the Animated Series. Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, who are the creators of Avatar. I've wanted this book since it came out in 2010, I think, so like going on 7 years now. And I finally got it a year ago, and I still haven't read it, which is a shame. It looks so pretty and it's so cool, and I'm so in love with Avatar. Anyone who knows me, Avatar is my all-time favorite TV show. It means so much to me. I love it so much. Like, it's so important. If we're going to rank things in importance in my life, you have Harry Potter and then you have Avatar. So I want to read this really badly, and I'm hoping to get to it this month. Hopefully I'll get through all of those books except the Norton anthology, and possibly some more. We'll see what happens. I think that is all, so I will see you later. Bye.